Peace, family. This is Lions Den with another news and commentary. This article is from blackamericaweb.com. This is come from Shaun King. It says, "Good morning, everybody. Late yesterday afternoon, around 4 p.m., police officers in Florence, South Carolina, went to serve a search warrant on an affluent white home there. They have not yet released the details on what the search warrant was for, or even given the name of the suspect, but soon after officers arrived on the scene, they came under fire. 3 officers from the Florence Police Department were shot, including Officer Terrence Caraway, a black man who was a 30-year veteran of the force. Officer Caraway was wounded so badly from the gunfire that he died there on the scene. Soon more officers from the Florence County Sheriff's Officers arrived on the scene, and for nearly 3 hours they were engaged in a standoff with the suspect. During that standoff, one more officer from the Florence County Police Department was shot, and 3 more officers with the sheriff's office were shot as well. If you lost count, that makes 7 police officers who were shot by this man, including Officer Terrence Caraway, who was killed. Yet, police continued to negotiate with the shooter for over 3 hours. 3 hours. Until he finally agreed to surrender to police. I'm going to explain this situation later. When they arrested him, he had not been shot, stabbed, choked, beaten, maimed, or sprayed with pepper spray. By now, you must have guessed it. He was white. Of course, he was. Every single person in the country who was following this active shooter situation knew he was white, because only a white man could shoot 7 police officers in broad daylight and live to tell the story without a single scratch. Now, let me be clear. I'm not criticizing these police officers, not at all. What I am saying is that this is an exact kind of methodical restraint and unending patience we would love to see with black folk. Let me unpack this for a moment. For years and years, we heard that American police need to be better trained on how to defuse violence, that they need to be better trained on alternatives to lethal force, that they need to be better trained on how to wait a situation out so that nobody gets killed. I used to say that to myself. But what we saw yesterday shows us that police absolutely know how to use restraint. They absolutely know how to be patient and wait a situation out. They know how to go into a situation where mortal danger is a very real possibility and take an armed, violent suspect out of the situation alive. They've been trained. It's not that they lack the training on how to do these things. It genuinely appears that it's not training that's the problem. It's that they sometimes lack the desire to restrain themselves. And it seems that we can pretty boil down this restraint to 2 things: zip codes and color, and skin color. When police officers are in predominantly white zip codes, particularly predominantly white affluent zip codes, the level of restraint and patience they are able to muster is a sign to behold, because when those same officers are in a predominantly black zip codes, we aren't familiar with that restraint. Had Eric Gardner, who was unarmed and nonviolent, simply received the same patience and restraint that this armed, violent white murderer received yesterday, not only would he be alive today, all he likely would receive was a ticket. Had Tamir Rice or John Crawford received the level of restraint and patience that this white man received yesterday, not only would they still be alive today, they wouldn't even have gone to jail or received a ticket. Neither one of them even broke the law. Right now, Chicago police officer Jason Van Dyke is on trial for shooting and killing Laquan McDonald. In a trial, we learned that Van Dyke shot Laquan at least 12 times after the boy fell down on the ground, firing so many shots that the cop had to reload his gun and continue firing. Where was that magical restraint for Walter Scott? Where was that unending patience for Amadou Diallo? Terrence Crutchers was unarmed, nonviolent, and surrounded by police officers when Officer Betty Shelby unloaded her clip into his body, claiming that she couldn't help it because she feared for his. She feared for, well, and he said his, but it's really her life. She feared for her life. We've seen this not dozen, but hundreds of times. And all we ask is for nonviolent black folk, for unarmed black folk to be treated with the same level of respect and restraint as armed, violent white murderers. I've got to run, but all we ask is for you to treat our best like you treat for their worst. Treat our babies like you treat their murderers. That's the deal we're trying to make, and it's embarrassing and shameful that those are the terms. But that's all we ask for from America's police. Show our communities the same restraint that you show school shooters, mall shooters, movie shooters, mass murderers, and random violent white men who shoot several cops on a Wednesday evening. You clearly know how to show restraint. Now show it to us. Okay, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Amen to, brother Shaun King. Now, everything he said was the truth. You have all these white shooters that, as you know, gave themselves up peacefully without any scratch, without any pepper spray, no police brutality, no nothing. But however, when it comes to black shooters, and even if they were shot by officers, and remember, look what happened to Micah X in Dallas, Texas, when he shot, I believe, 7 police officers. Kill some of them. Obviously, you know what happened there. They had this little robot, had a bomb inside this robot. They went inside his apartment, and you know what? He didn't negotiate. They didn't negotiate with him to put down his arms and turn himself in. They didn't do that at all. What they did was they went into, this is basically the report. They had this robot. They put a bomb inside the robot. They went inside to his apartment and bam, exploded. Killing Micah Johnson, also known as Micah X. Just blow him up. Look what happened in the other situation in Louisiana with another black brother, which is wrong, shot at police officers too. But the difference is, after he did that, he killed himself. So, Lions Den, what is your point here? The point is, I'm telling you guys, is that you see all these deaths, unarmed black men and women being murdered, whether by police, whether by vigilante, try to act like police officers, and yet they can walk free. And if you're a police officer or a white police officer, they wouldn't even get indicted. They would not get indicted for that charge. When it comes to, basically, now you see, when it comes to suspects now who are white, basically they turn themselves in peacefully, unarmed. You see Dylan Roof did the same thing. We see what happened in killing an African-American churchgoers, 9 of them. Dylan Roof went to a Burger King before he was taken into custody. You see what happened with the situation with another shooter, and we could see all these mass shooters daily. And look what happened with the Waffle House in Antioch, Tennessee. This white waiting to negotiate. They turn themselves in peacefully. Same with all these mass shooters that shoot up in the high school. Same thing. And when it comes to a black person, basically they would kill him. They would shot this guy dead, or shot this woman dead, just like they did with the sister in Richardstown, Maryland, which is outside of Baltimore, where she had a shotgun. Officers should negotiate. Unfortunately, they broke down. They shot the woman dead, and they shot her son, wounded her son. So you see these incidents time and time and time again. And they tell about they need more police training. Okay, they have police training, but to certain areas. And Shaun King said it best. It depends on the zip codes. When it comes to white zip codes, they handle it type of differently. They treated white suspects differently than they treated black suspects. That's how it is. So you look at it, at the end of the day, like I said, we're living in two different Americas, and I'm sorry, and I'm just gonna piss some people off, but I don't care. We live in two different Americas. Obviously, the way they treat white suspects, it's been treated. I mean, black suspects is treated different than white suspects. You can tell right now when a person gets stopped by police, we basically try to say yes sir, no sir, and that's how we've been, surviving this long. But when it comes to white suspects, if they didn't do nothing wrong, they probably say okay, give them a ticket and keep it moving. It's like when I watch a video, an experiment, when you see a white person carry the AR-15 at, guess what, really a gun-free state, obviously. You have like a open carry state, for example. When you see a white guy with an AR-15, a police officer talking to him nicely and say, "Why you have the AR-15?" And then the guy said, "Well, this is the open carry state, so I can walk wherever you want to walk." And then he was like, "Well, yeah, but we just want to know why you want to carry it during the day." He's being nice about it. And then when they did the same thing to a black person with the AR-15, the officer put out his gun and said, "Put the gun get down on the ground, put the gun down, blah blah blah." So you see, ladies and gentlemen, we're living in two different Americas, and the criminal justice system has never been for us, and it proved time and time and time again with this situation. So you notice that they did not release this guy's name, they did not even release what he looked like. And they're not even released the victim of the police officers as of yet. Only person they released, one is a black police officer, but other than that, they haven't released six others yet. So as you see, we've got another case of another situation when a white person shot and killed one officer and wounded six others. And again, and of course, there's another case of a mass shooter is still doing the same thing. It's a new norm, and at the end of the day, there's nothing a person can do about it but just say, well, thoughts and prayers, keep it moving, going their daily lives, and it's just sad, but it's the facts. Leave a comment, tell me what you think about this article, share this article, subscribe to my YouTube channel, subscribe to my reaction channel, subscribe to my Black Junction channel for all the news and commentary. With that being said, this is Langston signing off. Deuces.